Today I want to talk about the spirit of rejection, and I want to cover a lot of the things that people do when they're operating out of a spirit of rejection, how the spirit acts and how it has you set up throughout your life, and what usually causes this. Now, when I was younger, I was teased a lot and I was rejected by my family. It's like my family, I faced so much rejection, and I don't know why, but I know partially is because they didn't like my mom. So I was rejected at home, and then I was rejected when I went to school by my peers. I didn't have any friends, people. I was teased so badly, and for a long time, that rejection stuck with me. That I felt unworthy, I felt unvaluable, and I was an attractive girl. So when I started getting attention from men, I would just use that to solidify, what I felt about myself. I wanted to solidify my value by using my body to achieve sex and to obtain attention from men. But it was usually just superficial. It was something that was just on the surface, and it did not last. The men only came in my life just to have sex, and it left me. For a minute, I felt good because I was getting that attention, but after a while, I felt empty and hopeless. And a lot of people who are facing rejection, a lot of them, they'll exert their energy into other things because they want to feel important. They want to feel valuable. You might have some people who will be overachievers. They have to excel at every single thing. They're very competitive. And it's like when they're winning, they feel good. They feel worthy because that rejection is now locking in. That rejection is feeding them, is fueling them and motivating them, because it's like they feel like if they have to be great, if they win at everything, then now they can feel worthy. Now they can feel valuable. Now they can feel appreciated. Now they can get the attention and love that they crave from other people. But this is something that only keeps going as long as they're performing well. And so it's not substantial. It's not something that's going to last. It's like at the superficial surface, just like people who are workaholics. You might see some people who invest a lot of time into working. They're always constantly working. They're always making money, or they'll delve their efforts into obtaining a certain level of success. And it's like the more success they have, the more degrees and accolades they have, and all these achievements that they overcome and accomplish, then they feel like, okay, now I'm worthy. Now I don't have to feel rejected because now I have this. And then there's other people you see. Have you ever saw those people who work out in the gym all the time? They're stuck in the gym. Like they could spend hours in the gym every single day because they want to perfect their bodies, and they want to focus on how they look, and they want to focus on building up their bodies and being a certain weight or obtain a certain amount of muscle, because that rejection is still there. They might have been turned down, or some girl or some man made them feel as if they're not worthy or that they're insignificant. And so now they're investing their time into their physical appearance because they think that this is something that's going to help them feel accepted and it's going to take away the rejection. But these things become exhausting because you cannot continue to keep this up. And it's like your value is now being placed on what the material things you have, or something that you have to obtain. You have to constantly be in a state of obtaining something or accomplishing something to feel valuable. And it's just like with those who go out and spend money. Some people who have rejection, they'll go out and spend all this money even though they don't have it. They'll go out and spend all this money to impress people, or they'll try to keep up with the Joneses. They'll try to portray themselves as something that they're not. They'll wear masks. They'll wear a mask and you don't really know their true personality, or they'll gravitate to a certain group of friends who are not right for them, who are nothing but just poison to their lives. They're toxic people who want to do nothing but bring them down. These people are envious of them, but their validation, their need for validation has now driven them to these people. And so these are ways that the spirit of rejection works in people. But when you grasp onto these things, these frivolous things that are not real, this is all superficial, because once that stuff is gone, the people who are around you, the people who have come into your life, or the things you obtain, it's like that stuff goes away when you no longer have the job. And those people who came around you because you had money to spend on them, and you had all these shiny bells and whistles and a nice car and the fancy materialistic things, once that's gone, that person's out of your life, or that lady or that woman that man that came in your life, he's gone. Once your body is not at the state where it used to be, or once maybe you become injured or you cannot keep up with the level of performance, then guess what? Those people who were there, they're gone. Once you lose that job, or if that job doesn't last, then what do you have? See, this is all superficial stuff, and this is the spirit of rejection that is causing people to act this way. And so rejection is something that comes usually when people are in childhood. You might have been rejected by a parent. Maybe a loved one wasn't there for you. Maybe a parent had abandoned you. Maybe, you had family who did not understand your potential and your worth, and they mistreated you. And a lot of times how the spirit works with rejection, when you're facing with rejection, it'll cause you to reject other people. That spirit will gravitate towards other people who are filled with that same spirit, and it calls you, will set you up throughout your life to be rejected. So it's like once you've been rejected, you continue to keep being rejected because the spirit is sitting inside of you, causing you to be rejected. And the enemy knows that if we become rejected, then it can hinder us. It's like a crippling. It cripples you and it inhibits you from moving to that next level. It inhibits you from God being able to use. It's like you're broken. Have you ever seen a bird or an eagle or something that is supposed to fly, but all of a sudden their wing was wounded. So they're lying there on the ground because they cannot move. They're wounded. They cannot be used for their purpose because they're broken. And so rejection breaks a person. It keeps a person from moving forward. It inhibits a person from reaching their destiny. And this is why Satan sets us up to be rejected. And so this is the key to overcoming the spirit of rejection. First of all, we have to know that God loves us. Our love comes from God. When we learn that our love comes from God, we will not place an importance on other things. We will not look to people for that love. Yes, we need love from people. But when you love God and you receive that love from God and you know that he loves you regardless of who you are, he loves you exactly the way you are. He loves you because you don't have to do anything for him to love you. That's the thing. That love is unconditional love. It's not contingent upon something, some type of goal being achieved or some type of material possession being obtained. This love that comes from God is something that is unprecedented. It's a love that you can't put any type of limitations on. It's something that you cannot purchase. This love just comes because it's automatic. He loves us. It says God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Once you start feeling that love that comes from God, and then you start understanding that he loves you despite what you have or despite the things that you have accomplished and achieved. God loves you just because of who you are, who he created you to be. You have to first understand and realize that. And once you realize that, now you can start opening up and allowing God to put the right people around you. You will start drawing and attracting the right people who will love you for who you are. You don't have to put up a mask. You don't have to portray yourself. You don't have to wear a false facade. You don't have to obtain a bunch of things. You don't have to be an overachiever, accomplish all these amazing feats just to feel valuable of love. You don't have to go out and get all the surgery or work on your body to the point where it's excessive. And you can just focus on being who you are, who God created you to be, and you can embrace that love. And then as you do that, the right people will start being drawn to you. But as long as you're operating out of that spirit of rejection, you're going to continue to meet people who are already messed up. See, these people who are coming into your life rejecting you, they're messed up themselves. They're rejected. And they're gravitating towards you because that spirit is now as acting as a magnet and attracting and pulling the spirit that's inside of them. And so this is why you keep attracting people who are rejecting you, because there's a rejection inside of them. And these people are already rejecting themselves. They have their own things that they're dealing with because they're feeling inferior. They're dealing with inferiorities and insecurities and issues and fears and not feeling worthy. So once you receive that worth that comes from God, once you obtain that worth, then you can actually operate out of the love of God and you'll start drawing the right people. You have to bind up the spirit and cast it out. You have to be delivered from the spirits of rejection and start loosing love over your life.